Hey, it's me, Kyle. Hopefully, my microphone doesn't die halfway through this because, it's a plug and play microphone. But I have been trying for a while to do a history of the characters in League of Legends and where I think they went wrong in the game design. So, the characters on the screen now, it shows their, like, what they think the character represents, like Vanguard, Specialist, or Skirmisher. They're bad words that don't describe what these characters actually do, but this is the initial roster of characters. And when you look down on it, it is it creates a team fight focused game. All these characters have the same concept in mind that they want to team fight and play the game as a group. And now I'm about to go through the characters um like post the initial release and that have been slowly added to the game, and which characters I think were good to the game and which characters were bad for the game. Boom, massive transition. What's up? It's still me, Kyle, but I moved over some other pictures and they're all here in a lump, but they did not come in a lump. XD to that sentence. It looks like the first character that came out was Singed, and in my opinion, yes, he fits this team fight concept, but habitually, Singed has just been one of like the worst characters and just very just underwhelming. And the first character out of this first group that seems to have made the biggest impact was Karthus. He's just been one of the strongest champs um, if you play him properly. Uh, and back then he would have seen more play because, it's like, oh, he's new. We want to try him. People were new, fresh to the league. But then in this middle section, I have Cassidon with a yellow box around him because he had something like 90 something percentage ban rate at Worlds, and if he was allowed, he would just be like the best champion in the game. And he was kind of the first character that I view as like you as a person can be unlocked on this and make your choices in the game and be creative. So in this third column, I have Corky and Katarina and Shaco in red boxes. And going through all of the characters, the first time I did this, I noticed that Corky and Katarina, they came out together on the same date for some reason, and they both have jumps. Katarina has multiple jumps, and previously, it's something like 20 other characters that majority of them did not have jumps. So Corky and Katarina is my understanding where move creep was added into the game. And it slowly became less about team fighting and being a strong, like healthy unit that does a utility and more about moving fastly, being in position. And I'm going to do a massive transition right here again. And boom, another massive transition. I've kept the first column the same to kind of show the progression because after Shaco, then they make Udyr one of the least mobile characters. I feel like they kind of thought, oh, we need to get back to making characters that are about team fighting. And then boom, they release four characters that have some type of movement or jump ability back to back to back to back. So that was pretty much my idea of when it was more about being able to be flexible and not just be a team fighter. In the next column after that, Ken and Garen, Akali, so on, they're still all focused about team fighting, being in a big group and trying to get victory inside of this big mess. And next massive transition. And we're back at it, looking at more words and whatnot and thinking about where they went wrong. And so this first column, it doesn't appear like I thought that there was any problems with any of these characters. They're all team fight focused, and um, some of them are still used today. Some of them have just been left to the wayside. A lot of these characters have been mismanaged to where players don't want to play them. They're not fun anymore. They can't succeed in the environment constantly or on their own merit, so therefore players don't want to play them, and then it's just they never get fixed because nobody knows the problems with all these characters. In the middle column, it still continues a trend of team fighting. And yeah, there is a lot more mages in this form of the game. A majority of the characters that are being played mid lane are mages. And over the years, mages have just kind of been pushed to the side by other things that just become meta. The mages just don't become meta, and the meta comes through and just eats them alive. And occasionally, there will be one or two mages that is just stronger than the other ones, and they just kind of sit there and take the tax. Oriana is one of those. She's towards the end on the third list. And we're going to do another massive transition. Let's go. And boom, we're right here. I got a blue box around Xerath because I started playing the week Xerath was released. And shout out, I'm pretty sure one of my friends told me that he started playing when Talon was released or something like that. So this is kind of where I started to play the game. And I didn't play Xerath, but he kind of fell to the wayside also after just the game like evolves and like the changes get made to other characters and he doesn't see very many good ones. I put a blue box around Fizz because throughout all of League's history, Fizz has been, in my opinion, fun to play against. It's obvious what he's going to do. He can be the assassin he needs to be inside of a team fight, or he can look for creative options. I think he was a healthy thing to the game, even though he can get to a point where it's like no counterplay. I put a red X next to Ari because when she came out, I didn't want to play Ari, and it took me like I don't know, like many years to come and play Ari because they just didn't change her ultimate to a way that I thought was good. They made it so her ult resets on kill, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll try her now. But before then, I just never played her, and I didn't think it was worth playing her. And so for a majority of this character's life, as a player, my opinion of her was, there's just other stuff I'd rather play. Then Victor comes out, he was just oppressive, and he's not even very fun, but when he's the strongest, he just is the strongest. And he needs like a nemesis. There's only like one other character at a time that defeats Victor. That's why they don't make him strong anymore. Then we go to Sejuani, Ziggs, Nautilus, all team fighters still. And I put a golden box around Fiora, Lulu, Hecarim, and then the whole next column were bangers. And I wasn't actually even playing the game at this time. There a certain thing happened in my life. I wasn't able to play for like 3 months. But during this 3 months, all these characters in this golden box came out. And I'm going to explain why I put a golden box around them. Fiora is like, if you're a top laner, woo, you can enjoy top. Lulu, she is like an amazing team fight support and support in lane. Hecarim, fun jungler and to play against sometimes. Not when he was just having Ghost reset and going untargetable with Ghostblade. That was just disgusting. Remove that. But Varus was really fun. And then Darius and Draven had lore interaction. So it's like the game actually wasn't just, oh, these random characters that don't have any world interaction like in their lore. These ones actually do. So it's like, wow, that's cool. Then we get Jace, who's like a fun character, dynamic. Zyra, who people just use as a gold bag. They hate what Zyra was when she was just getting wards and getting one shot. They can't stand that shit. But then we got Diana, Rengar, Syndra, Kha'Zix, Elise, and Zed. Hold on, we're going to transition this. Alright, we got so much time before this video cuts off because I'm using Bandicam, baby. And so what's the point of this golden box is that these characters all were orientated around team fight and creativity. And I think it stopped at Nami because Vi was just a terrible character habitually and design-wise. And then it really stopped with Zac, who was too tanky to kill for so long, and he did more damage. But Giga transition. And That was the length of a Bandicam video, essentially. If you don't pay for it, you only got 10 minutes to talk and whatnot. So I'm going to get to it, baby boy. So the reason I thought Zach was the end of the golden designs is because he is where tank overcomes damage. And we have a lot of instances with this where if you can't kill the player you're going against, it's just unfun. The game becomes unplayable. And they skewed towards tankiness later because the this golden era actually had a bunch of characters that just like one shot you, and they were being really creative how they one shot you. So the only solution that Riot had was to make everything just absurdly tanky over time with items and the durability patch. But after Zac, we have a bunch of team fighters still. Like, in I would put a red X next to Vel'Koz. This champion is just being completely forgot. Even the developers forgot him. But the design of him was to be a team fighter and mega transition. Yes, sir. Well, I don't know if came on the freaking audio, but I had to move into another room because I swear somebody is giving a stand-up comedy outside my window, and people think just perma laughing. So I'm like, oh my god, is this coming in on the fucking audio? So we are going to finish this last portion, and so this is the later end of League. There's only 5 champions left to look at, other than the ones that you can see on the screen. But Bard is the start of the really bad choices. And so the reason Bard is the start of the really bad choices is because his identity is there are things elsewhere than bot lane that he wants to do. He wants to leave bot lane so that he can collect his chimes and roam. And this is a problem because he has not committed to supporting the AD carry. For the entirety of the game, there are carries in the bot lane that function in a certain way. And their success is majorly on this other player who is the support, and they are supposed to mitigate the success of the AD carry. And Bard just completely negates this idea by going and getting like alternative advantage by roaming, or just leaving to get these useless little chimes that do nothing. So Bard is the first instance where they betrayed the concept of the game that's a team fighting game and you're supposed to work together. He abandons his AD carry to do fucking Looney Tunes knows what, and it's just there's nothing he can do actually. Like in a team fight environment, you can say if you get really good at Bard, he works, but it's just he doesn't support the AD carry, and this is the downfall of the AD carry, which is the core of the team fight game style. So arguably, though, in the next column, where it goes Jhin, Aurelion Sol, and Talia, these are 3 of my most played champions all time over the entirety of the game. And they were really fun. Jhin, over the years, like, they released items that just make it so his force shot just doesn't kill people when you use it. And there was a while where shield bow happened, where if you go low as an AD carry and you have shield bow, you just get a shield. And so Jhin just immediately became unplayable with items like this and other shield tank items. And Aurelion Sol was really fun where he could use like the Hextech GLP and like cancel his ulti and stuff. He had stars orbiting him. Then they completely changed his identity to just be have no impact whatsoever. So it's just like, why play this character for 20 minutes where you can't do anything other than put this little circle on the ground to get stacks? And Talia, on release, was one of the funnest characters, maybe because she was broken, but her Q felt so much better. And over time, they made her most usability feel different and different, and it just turns into dog crap. And they just made her completely useless to where one of her abilities now doesn't even do damage, which it doesn't make sense why it wouldn't do damage. And then we go to Kled, who's a character like, let's make it let's make a simple character. And what they did was Kled has 2 abilities out of like 8. He is a character that has form switching from being on the mount and being off the mount. In both forms, he essentially has 2 abilities. So he has half the abilities of the rest of the roster, and it's not worth it because he can't play the game functionally. And it shows because people don't play him. That means he's not fun and he won't get more play. And let's see, Ivern, I think Ivern is good because it gets out of this idea that the jungler is the most important thing. For years, it was that the jungler is the most important character on the map. And Ivern, as a jungler, supports his team. I think that's good. It gets the jungler out of thinking that he's the only thing that matters and makes it more about team focus again. And I think Camille is just, they started making stuff where it's like, now it just does true damage. It just one-shots you. And it's like, okay, well, I guess this champ just one-shots stuff. Okay. I don't know how she gets there, but sometimes she just one-shots things and becomes unstoppable. And the next characters, Zaya and Rakan, with this gold box around them, is because they have lore connecting each other. And that's interesting. They haven't done that since like Kha'Zix and Rengar and Darius and Draven. Or like Jinx and Vi. So that's cool. Then we go Kayn, who against noobs is just insanely powerful, but when you're playing with Kayn, it feels like he can do so little. It doesn't make sense. Ornn is just whatever because he comes back to team fight, but the game's not about team fighting anymore. And a lot of people would say Zoe is where the game got bad, but I didn't think Zoe was a problem because she can take your summoner spells. This is like the last function in the game that they hadn't played with, which was more summoner spells than average. And I thought that was cool. That's creative. That wasn't a problem for me, but what was a problem was Kai'Sa came out. And functionally, when she presses her Q, she shoots like a million missiles that are undodgeable unless you have an actual shield. And Kai'Sa is just a replacement for Vayne and has way too many tools that make it either, if Vayne is not in a playable position, Kai'Sa is just better. And we're going to see that problem with Seraphine and Sona. Like, Seraphine just completely negates Sona's existence by being better and having more tools. But the absolute point of the game, this is the point of the game where League of Legends stopped being what it was. When Pyke came out, Pyke's identity is a physical damage assassin in the support position. And Pyke deleted the ability for the game to be about team fighting anymore because it is about the support being more powerful than the AD carry. With the addition of like Spell Thief's Edge, it makes it where like Xerath has a better time as a support than he does at mid lane. And this is where the game's design breaks down because now it's better for certain mages to just be bot lane instead of their home position, which was mid. And yeah, Pyke is the champion that ruined League of Legends because he made the identity of the game not about team fighting. You have Neeko, which just made the game too complicated. And her form of complication isn't even really that interesting. It's just too complicated. And Yuumi was just that this character doesn't need to exist. They didn't need to make this one, and the only people that use it are botters and scripters to make accounts and elo boost. The character is essentially them copying the Heroes of the Storm character that did a similar concept. And then we got another massive transition real quick. Yeah, big transition. By the way, if anybody hears this part, thanks for listening. Bro, shout out you for listening to some idiot just blabber. I'm sorry, but God bless you in Jesus' name if you heard it. Anything of value or felt of comfort, because I'm comforting and all that. But yeah, so just to wrap it up, Pyke ruined League of Legends because he definitively said the identity of the game is not about team fighting anymore. It's about catch or just being stronger. And it wasn't always like that. Then we have Yumi, who is just. This character didn't need to happen and created too many problems. Then we go to Kiana, who is an assassin that just has too many tools. And she has so many tools that if you know what to do on her, she's completely unstoppable. And if you don't know what to do on her, she's fucking useless. I call it the face plant Kiana. Somebody picks a character, doesn't know what they're doing, and just gets crapped on, has no concept. And there, you rarely ever see the person who knows how to use it because it's been nerfed so much that it is exceptionally difficult to get off the ground. I'm going to go back a second for Silas. This champ, they gave one of the best base kits in the whole game. Just because they're like, oh, his ultimate isn't really reliable. And certain characters, like Diana, he just obliterates her most of the time if the Silas knows what he's doing. So he kind of just takes the ulti of other characters and just does their job better. Like he refutes other characters. And that's the problem with some of these characters is they just refute other ones existing. Like Kaisa refutes Vayne's existence. And Seraphine the same with Sona. They're just like, you don't get to do what you do because I do it better. And then we come to Senna, who is a. Oh, God have mercy. Senna is the finalization of bot lane is ruined because she is an AD carry in the support position. This was like the birth of Ashe support. This is the birth of Jhin support and so on, where it is not about team fighting and trusting that your AD carry is going to do a certain amount. It becomes like my bot lane's more ahead. My bot lane has more utility. And I think Pyke and Senna ruined bot lane. And by ruining bot lane, they ruined the identity that League of Legends is about team fighting. Throughout all the years, the community has been ruined because of characters like Tyler 1 and so on being like put up in the public figure as a toxic player that they were like are redeeming, but he really like just spread a poison that the whole community did not want to work together. And so when Pyke and Senna come out, the whole game is around just do better. It's not about my team do better. And it was just a really toxic environment. We come to Aphelios where they try to copy the concept of Invoker from Dota, a character that has so many tools that he can use. What it comes down to is Aphelios is too complicated and too weak. So when I play with him in solo queue, he's just completely trash. There is nobody can make this shit work, and it is just oh yeah. And then we come to Set, who basically can kill any champion in one shot with true damage. And he's tanky. So there's very little downsides to Set other than he can't gap close. We come to Lilia, who's actually really fun. But when you play against her, she is so overtuned. That's why she's fun, by the way, is because she's overtuned. But it is just, a lot of time when you play her, she is just unplayable against. Which is just like, I don't know. She just destroys teams single-handedly. Yon is a large problem because he's so good situationally, but I don't understand. Sometimes he's just completely useless. And I don't see the difference maker in those matches where he's unstoppable and he's completely useless. Samira has a red box around her because God knows why, but also this character has too many tools. As an AD carry, she becomes the fucking pocket knife pick. And she can just do anything that all the other characters can do almost, except for long range. Seraphine, this champion is supposed to be a support, but she has an execute on her primary poke ability, which means she's looking to take the kills. Like, this is another instance where the bot lane is not about getting the AD carry fed so you can have a good team fight. It's just, we win. Like, our characters are just stronger. We come to Rel, who on release she's garbage. Rel is garbage, and nobody likes her. And so they rework her to be exceedingly powerful, and still doesn't change the fact that nobody wants to play the champion. And she is trying to be in a game that she doesn't work in, because she could have been made way back then when it was a team fight game, but it's not about that now. So she's just like an ultra powerful disruptor, and yeah. They failed her the first time. They're like, we need to make sure this character sells. So they just rework her. Vigo is just whatever. This champion is like Nico, where when you're watching it, you're like, what the hell is even going on? Like, what's happening inside the game? I don't know what to do. When he's popping off, at least. And Gwen is whatever. Gwen is a champion that is just fine. Action, I think, is just... I don't know if it's necessary to have his thing where he gets a kill and it revives everybody that person killed. I think that is so no fun, broken, too powerful. I don't know if that character should be allowed to have that, or if that skill should even exist at all in the game. Then we have Vex, who I did not play on release because tropes and whatnot. I'm an emo kid, and they're like making fun of the emo archetype. But she's fun and fits a decent purpose. Yeah, I don't know. Zeri is just whatever. This champion is fucking stupid. Her auto attacks, this is where they're like, we're not making 80 carries anymore. Ha ha ha. You thought Samira was the time where we're like, we're not making 80 carries anymore. No, it's Zeri. They're not going to make a normal ass character that you understand and it functions right, because they're going to have to rework it 100 times, and it's either broken or useless. They can't find an even ground with some of these characters. And we got a red box around Renata because they released her. Her ultimate is shoot out a mist, and that mist makes you hurt your teammates if you get hit by it. It was just a metaphor for what they released Tyler 1, and then fucking the mist of Twitch TV. Everybody who watched that shit, then they're going into the games like FF it fucking 15 minutes and run it down, open mid. Like, literally, it was they were commenting on what they've done to the community, that they've made the community turn against their own teammates because it's not a teammate game anymore. And she sucks, and nobody wants to play her. Belveth, oh my god, why does this champion have fucking like 90% damage reduction for standing still? Level 1. When they were like, no, it's too broken for Aurelia. So they're like, we're just going to give it to Belveth, who can permanently scale, gets to hide in the jungle, and has like a really hard to dodge knockup. Like, the only thing the champion doesn't have is like one shot and range. It's just, when Belveth's in the game, it's all about her. It's not a teammate game. It's not a team fight game. It's all about her. Same with Nyla. There's an ability she has called Jubilant Veil, which is just basically, I can walk on my teammates. Now neither of us can be hurt by auto attacks, and we can't take as much magic damage. That ability is so fucking broken. Why can't she pass it to her teammates? Like, they didn't think it was broken enough? And we're gonna transition. And bro, really, if you made it this far, God bless and thank you for listening. So we talked about how Nyla having Jubilant Veil is just broken. She shares EXP also, which shouldn't exist because they thought that was good one time and they took it out of the game. So they should not have brought it back into the game. She shares shields and heals, so they're trying to make it back about team fighting, but it's long gone. It's long gone. But so what they've done with Nyla, she's just far overtuned. And when it is her meta, she's just going to completely obliterate. And there will be nothing that can stop her other than Samira. And K'Sante, this champion right now in its current position is apparently so broken that it's like pick or ban at Worlds. And yeah, this like, it is so complicated and powerful that it's just far and above other characters. Melio is one of the last characters that I really was like, nice, this character is cool, but he's so undertuned that he can't he can't fucking play the game. I tried to play Melio, he's not good enough. His abilities are good, but he is not good enough, and he doesn't fit being a solo carry. Like, he wants to boost an 80 carry to win a team fight. This game isn't about team fighting anymore. So his identity is just not in the game. And we have Nefiri, who is like, she can build Eclipse and have the ever rising moon shield. Then she can have the black cleaver, so she's ultra tanky. And then there are just so many tank items that offer attack damage where Nefiri's not an assassin, she's a bruiser. And she's can be fun, but playing against her sometimes is just like, oh, this champ is just unkillable. Like, because items, not because the character or the player, but because the items she's building are fundamentally making her more powerful than other archetypes, and it means that they're not able to function properly, or that she by default beats those archetypes. And we got a red box around Briar because I think that this champion is so heinously overtuned and not the right type of champion for this game. She offers nothing for her team. She is just a stat Hulk that has like nearly no downside, and other than she has to go in. But when you put her in a game where she has to fist fight and she's the best fist fighter, it's not really even a game then. It's just like, oh, that champion is just better. And that's the problem that comes down to a lot of these characters is like, why play Sona when Seraphine exists? Why play X champion when this champion does the same things, but they just do it better? And yeah, so that's my opinion and kind of the history of how I've seen League of Legends and where it went bad. My opinion, it went bad with Pyke. Pyke destroyed the concept that League of Legends was about team fighting, especially when the mental of the community was about like how good you are rather than how good your team is. And I think that really was a downside for the game. You could see it in the player base, you could see it in the champion design afterwards with characters like Yumi and Senna, Seraphine, and so on. But if you listen this far, man, God bless you in Jesus' name. And hopefully we find something better to do with our lives than play this game. So, later.